Hey guys, welcome back. For today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the BH Cosmetics Illusion palette. This is one of their 16 pan palettes, and today I'm just going to chat about the formulation, the shade range. I have some comparisons, swatches, and then towards the end of the video you will see my 3 looks. So it's going to be a pretty quick review just because I've been reviewing a lot of BH palettes recently and my opinion is pretty much the same. So I'm just going to run over the palette very quickly and then just go into the 3 looks for you guys. So with that being said, let's just jump straight into the review. So I actually purchased this palette last year. I would say probably like in August or September. It was a really long time ago. I'm only getting around to filming my review now, but as I was looking on their website, I couldn't find this palette on its own. They only sell this palette in a bundle. So the bundle is 19 US dollars because typically these 16 pans are 12 US dollars. Like BH has a couple of these palettes in different color stories. So when you open up the palette, there are 16 shadows. The pan size of them are actually really small, very similar to the Take Me Back to Brazil palette. Like the pan size are very tiny. There is a mirror in here. For the formulation, it's split right down the middle. There's 8 mattes, 8 metallics. My take on BH's formulation, I think they blend out so well. They are pigmented. I think you can get a lot more pigmentation if you're using a really good base underneath them, but nonetheless it's a really great formula. I think for their price point, it's really great eyeshadow for what they are offering. So now just talking about the shade range in this palette. So when I first saw this online like last year when I was making my order, I was like, oh, this is a really pretty palette. There's a lot of fun shades in here that I could, you know, do unique color combinations with. And then when I received it, I was like, oh, this kind of looks like the Perception palette, very similar to the Born to Run palette from Urban Decay. It has that vibe to it where it's like sort of like a rainbow palette, but it's a little bit watered down of a rainbow palette. And I'm gonna put up my comparisons here for those 2 palettes, and you can see there are a couple of comparisons, but I think as a whole and as a palette there's a huge difference. I couldn't compare every single shade is what I'm trying to get at. So I think there's a little similarity between those 2 palettes, but I'm not gonna say it's exactly the same or it's a dupe palette. So while doing my 3 looks with this palette, I actually really enjoyed all the 3 looks. I think they turned out all very different from each other. I do wish that there was like a dark brown in here. I think that would have been really handy because I had to keep using this purple. I think overall it's a very fun palette. The metallics are super high shine if you use them wet. The mattes blend out well, and I think the color combinations you can do are just endless. And I really like how this is pretty compact because this is like the size of a Colourpop 9 pan palette, but instead you get 16 shadows in here. So I think it's just really nice for traveling. The metallics in here is what speaks to me more than the matte, but I think this would be a really good like companion palette. I also think the way this palette is laid out, it's very easy to take in. When you look at it row by row, they have a color story. So if you're like a beginner in makeup and you want to get into color, I think, you know, grabbing a palette like this is a little bit easier to take in. If you were going to get the Take Me Back to Brazil palette, that's a much bigger palette. It could be quite overwhelming to you. So when you see a palette like this, it's a little bit smaller. There are some neutral shades in here that you can work with. I think it's a little bit easier to take in if you were playing with color for the first time. So I'm just going to leave my review as that because I feel like if I continue talking, I'm just going to keep going in circles. I think you guys get the general gist of how I feel towards BH's formulation and their palettes, and also the lighting constantly keeps changing and now it's so bright I can barely keep my eyes open. So I'm just going to quickly wrap up this video. So that was the review, the swatches, the comparisons. We can now move into the 3 looks. So for the first look, I'm going to start off with the matte pink, and this is going to be pretty much our base color and transition shadow. I'm just going to work that into my crease using windshield wiping motions, and then I'm going to slowly blow this out up towards my brow bone and also towards the outer corners, just really diffusing this shadow out. I'm also going to take this shadow onto my lower lash line as well, just sweeping that from the outer corner right to the inner corner. You want to make sure you are connecting the shadows at the outer corner as well, so that way the eye look can look like one complete eye look. I'm then moving into the matte plum purple, and I'm going to work this at the outer third of my eye, just really getting the pigmentation there first, and then I'll slowly start blending that up towards my crease area. You really just want to focus this at the outer corners. When you are focusing a darker shadow at the outer corners, it's going to create more of like a cat eye shape. I also bring this onto my lower lash line as well, but I'm only going to put this at the outer third of my eyes. Then moving into this taupe mauve metallic shade, I am using this shadow wet, and I'm pretty much just going to place that at the inner third of my eyes. I'm going to diffuse this out around my crease area. I don't want any harsh lines. I just really want this like blown out. I do take this into my inner corners as well, just to highlight that area, just because it isn't really a highlighting shade. So this shade will work as a highlight shade for our inner corners, but placing that at the inner third of your eyes is going to contrast really well against the darker outer corners, and again really enhance that cat eye shade. But now I'm just taking a black liquid liner. I'm going to use this to line my eyes and also create a very dramatic wing. I will go in with a black eyeshadow on an angle brush just to extend and sort of smoke that out. Alright you guys, so that is the first look completed. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a very simple eye look to create, but the outcome looks super glam, which I love. I feel like you can never go wrong with some pinks and purples. I think it's so flattering against brown eyes and against my skin tone. So I really enjoyed this first look, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. So now onto the second look. I'm gonna start off with this mauve shadow as our transition slash base shadow. I'm just going to work that in my crease using windshield wiping motions like always. Once the look is completed, you don't really see the shadow, but I think it is a good base to enhance the blues later on. So I also bring this onto my lower lash line as well. Now going into the Royal Matte Blue, I'm going to start packing this onto my lid space just to get the pigmentation there first, because wherever your brush touches first is where the most pigmentation is going to be. So I'm just going to pack that on the lid, and then I'll start blending that up towards like my crease area. I'm not going to bring it up too high just because I feel like blue is such an intense color that I don't want to bring it all the way up to my brow bone. So I'm pretty much slopping it around the crease area. I'm also going to take this matte blue onto my lower lash line as well, just to make the entire look cohesive. Now going in with this sky blue metallic, I will be using this shadow wet on a pretty fluffy brush. I'm going to fluff this on at the center of my eyes. I want this to be diffused, but I want this to be focused at the center. Once I have that diffused out at the center of my lid space, I'm going to go in with a smaller brush to pack it on right at the center, and also apply that at the inner corners of my eyes as well. Now I'm going in with the Colourpop BFF liquid liner in the shade Crazy. It's a dark navy blue, and I'm going to use this to line my eyes and also create a wing. And lastly, to complete the eye look, I'm taking the Colourpop Creme Gel Liner in the shade DTLA, and I'm going to use this to tightline my upper waterline as well as my bottom waterline. Alright you guys, so this is the second look completed. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really liked how this turned out. I love how the blue looks against these grey contacts. I feel like just because of the blue and the smokiness of the eye look, it's such a statement. So I really liked how this look turned out, and I hope you guys liked it too. And now onto the final look. I'm going to start off with the matte orange as my transition shadow. I'm just going to work that into my crease using windshield wiping motions like always. I'm going to blend that up towards my brow bone because this shadow is pretty much working as a base as well. I'm then going into the dark purple, and I'm going to work this at the outer third of my eyes just to get the most pigmentation there first, and then I'll slowly bring that in towards the inner part of my crease area. Now I am taking my P. Louise eyeshadow base, and I'm going to use this to help carve out my cut crease. We are just doing a half cut crease for today's look, so I am just putting that at the inner part of my lid space, bringing that up towards my crease area, and then I'll take a thinner paintbrush to really carve out the crease and make it very sharp and precise. Now taking the metallic green, I'm using this shadow wet. I'm just going to place that right at the center of my eyes where the base is fading out in towards the matte. This metallic shadow is just going to be like a pop of green, and it's also going to help blend the metallics and the mattes together. So I'm just placing it right at the center. Now taking the yellow gold, also using this shadow wet, I'm just going to put that right at the inner third of my lid on top of that P. Louise base. I'm going to blend it in towards the forest metallic green as well. Now I am just taking my black liquid liner. I'm going to use this to line my lash line and also create a wing. I will go in with a black eyeshadow to smudge out the wing and also extend it and make it very dramatic and smoky. Now going back into the matte orange, I'm just going to run this all over my lower lash line from the outer corner right to the inner corner. And lastly, just going into the matte purple once again, I'm just going to press this up against my bottom lash line. And this, you guys, is the final look completed. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think this color combination is really fun. We have a bit of yellow gold, the green, orange, and purple. So I feel like I haven't really done a color combination like this before. So yeah, I really enjoyed the overall look, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Alright you guys, so those were my 3 looks. Be sure to let me know which look was your favorite in the comments down below. I always love hearing your feedback after every upload, so be sure to drop your comments down below. But if you guys did enjoy this review, be sure to give it a thumbs up. I would appreciate it so much if you did. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, please subscribe if you haven't already. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!